What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dylan back here for another video, and today I am talking about MVPs. We are 2 weeks away, right now exactly 2 weeks away from the NFL season. I'm very, very excited, but we still got just a little bit more content to release before we get to that date of the Eagles-Falcons game for week 1. So right now, we're going to do another predictions type video, a top 10 list. We're going to talk about the top 10 candidates to win the NFL MVP in 2018, the highest honor you can get as an individual player. Tom Brady won it last year. Obviously, Tom Brady's one of the best. He'll be on this list for sure. Just we'll have to see where he's at. But there are a lot of great candidates out there. There's a lot of great players in the NFL. Obviously, it's a great sport. There's a lot of guys competing for it, and this should be a really interesting list, and I want to hear what you guys have to think about this list towards the end of the video. But I want to give two disclaimers here. First off, I didn't put any defensive players on this list because I don't think any defensive player can win this award. It's not because they're not good enough. Obviously, they're fantastic. But seeing as how the NFL MVP award hasn't really given it out to defensive players when they really should have, throwback to when J.J. Watt should have won it instead of Aaron Rodgers, I don't think the committee is ever going to give him one, and until I see it actually happen, I just couldn't put anybody from the defensive side of the ball on this list. And second, I forgot to put David Johnson on this list. I knew people in the comments were going to be like, well, David Johnson should be on this list. Consider him tied at number 8 with my other number 8 because they're about the same kind of player. It just happens when you're doing that. So let's get into this top 10 list. At number 10, I have Deshaun Watson, the quarterback of the Houston Texans. I feel like this is kind of a dark horse candidate, and I put him here at number 10 because I think Deshaun Watson has a lot of talent. We saw it last year, 18, 19 touchdowns, somewhere around there in 6 games. Absolutely incredible. This guy was throwing dart after dart after dart after dart. The long completions to DeAndre Hopkins. We saw Will Fuller be a big-time red zone threat, which I think a lot of people forget considering how bad the second half of the 2017 season was for the Texans. But Deshaun Watson was absolutely killing it. He was making the team better. And I feel like the Texans are going to be really good this year. I have them in the playoffs. So if Deshaun Watson leads them to the playoffs, does something very good, might even sneak out a division win, like winning that division, the AFC South. I know it's very difficult because the Titans and the Jaguars especially are two teams that you got to look forward to out there. But Deshaun Watson looks like he's a leader. He looks like he can make this team really, really good because we saw how bad they were without him. And just seeing all the talent that's around him with having a top 3 receiver and a guy like Will Fuller also, he looks like he's going to lead the charge there. And I think with all the stuff that we saw last year and him being a great threat in the red zone, I think Deshaun Watson has a okay chance to win the MVP. He's my dark horse for winning MVP. So Deshaun Watson's here at number 10. At number 9, it's Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, Big Ben has been in the league for a very long time, since 2004, and he's getting up there in age, but we just saw a 40-year-old win the MVP, so why the hell not? Ben Roethlisberger still has a little bit left in the tank. I know there was a lot of questions last year at the beginning, and I wasn't really all for that, but it looked like they turned it around, and the biggest thing for the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger is they got a lot of talent. Obviously, Big Ben knows that. They have the best running back in the league. They have the best wide receiver in the league. So he's going to take that as an advantage and use it for his own good. Use it for the Pittsburgh Steelers' own good. When Jalen Ramsey said that he was decent at best, I absolutely disagree with him the most on that of any QB evaluation that he had. Because Big Ben actually looked really good last year. He's got to throw his targets to AB. Juju Smith-Schuster really came out last year. I think he'll do even better this year, and Big Ben loves to throw to him. And a guy like James Washington, who they drafted in the 3rd round, we can't wait to see what he does. And I think Big Ben is going to use him as a deep outside threat. So looking at it, Big Ben actually had some pretty good stats last year, some really good statistical numbers. His most passing yards since, I believe, 2014. And I just want to see that consistency, and I think he will. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Steelers are near the top of the AFC every year, and Big Ben is a big part of that. So we'll see how he does, but I think he is a strong candidate to win MVP. So at number 9, Ben Roethlisberger. At number 8, I have Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys, the first running back on this list. And I know, again, it's a Cowboy. I'm going to get hate for it, but I'm just kind of expecting it at this point. Ezekiel Elliott is the main player on that offense, though. I mean, Dak has been looked at as the guy that needs Zeke on the field, and we saw it in 2016 how dominant the guy was. Rushed for over 1,600 yards, which was insane. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. Last season, he almost rushed for 1,000 yards, and he missed 6 games. Like, are you kidding me? And he looks like he's going to be a bigger threat in the receiving game. So if you want to help out your MVP stats, you need to do things for rushing the ball and receiving the ball. A guy like Le'Veon Bell, who we'll see later on this list, is very good at doing that. So Ezekiel Elliott, he's dominant on the football field. He looks like he's going to be the mainstay. The Dallas Cowboys wide receiver core is one of the worst in the NFL. So a guy like Ezekiel Elliott having to lead that charge at the running back position is going to get a lot of traction. He's going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to be a guy that Dak needs to throw it to on 3rd and 4. And overall, we saw how great he was in 2016. If he produces another season like that, he has a very good chance of winning MVP this season. 2017 was a little hiccup because of the 6-game suspension, but even then, we saw how great he was. He has not been injured in the 2 seasons he played. We just saw how much talent that he's had over the course of the first 2 seasons, and again, like I said, I really like what I see out of him. We'll just have to see if he continues in 2018. So at number 8, I got Ezekiel Elliott. At number 7, I have AB Antonio Brown of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to be my only wide receiver on this list because typically the NFL doesn't give the MVP to a wide receiver, but if you look at AB's stats, he absolutely kills it every single year. He's had 100 or more receptions the last 5 seasons. He had over 1,500 receiving yards last year, 9 touchdowns, which is a little bit lower than he usually has, but I mean, the guy absolutely kills it on the field. He's Big Ben's number 1 target. He's the guy that in clutch situations, you got to throw it on the sidelines on like 4th and 9. Holy crap, he makes the insane catch to win the football game for them. He is the Pittsburgh Steelers' most clutch player. I just said it. I mean, the guy is absolutely dominant. A couple of seasons ago, he had over 1,800 yards receiving, and also a couple of seasons ago, he had like 136 receptions, which is 2nd most all-time for a season. AB is absolutely dominant on the field. I don't know why anybody wouldn't have him as the number 1 receiver in the game. He's insanely clutch. He's a guy that's going to make these insane catches, and he should be looked at as the top guy in the game in terms of the receiving game. The thing is that the NFL just doesn't like to give MVPs to receivers, and it's insanely difficult. But if he puts up video game stats like this again, the NFL is going to have to at least consider it because of how great he was. He was even looked at as an MVP candidate until he got hurt in week 15. So, AB, number 7 on this list. Very well deserved, in my opinion. At number 6, I have Drew Brees, the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. Of course, we know how good Drew Brees is every single year. Even if his defense is really bad and they have a 7-9 record, he does his goddamn hardest to do something out there and provide for the team. He puts up some great stats. Last year, he didn't have to put up amazing stats because he had 2 great running backs in Kamara and Ingram, and it took some of the load off of Drew Brees, but he had less interceptions. The only time in his New Orleans Saints career he didn't have double-digit interceptions in a season, and he had a higher QB rating, so that's obviously a good start. Plus, he has what I consider very close to a top 5 receiver, top 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there, in Michael Thomas, a guy that's going to get a lot of receptions. I think he had the most receptions in his first 2 years ever for a receiver, so that's pretty damn impressive. And a guy like Drew Brees obviously knows what to do in big situations, and the Saints are, to me, one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl this year. You'll have to see that a little bit later on in my Super Bowl predictions, but I think the Saints team is going to be a contender, and a guy like Drew Brees, who is obviously a certified leader, who has won a Super Bowl before, and has put up some really, really great stats over the course of his career, should definitely be on this list. Right now, I think he's the 4th best QB in the league, and every single year, like I said, proves himself over and over again to be one of the best. And just the great team that he has around him definitely puts him on this list. So at number 6, I've got Drew Brees. At number 5, I have what many people believe was the NFL MVP runner-up last season, Todd Gurley, the running back of the Los Angeles Rams. He rushed for over 1,300 yards last season, had 13 rushing touchdowns, had over 700 receiving yards last season, and had 6 receiving touchdowns. He became a big receiving threat last season, and I think the Rams are going to continue to use him as such. He's one of the 2 candidates that I really can see having a 1,000-yard season, which is 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. The Rams obviously see him as the centerpiece of that offense because we don't know how great Jared Goff is going to be. He still needs to develop, but Todd Gurley had an amazing season. The biggest thing for me is that can we see the consistency out of Todd Gurley? Because the season before, he had a really bad year. I know he's been in the league 3 years, and 2 of those 3 have been really, really good, but it still lingers in the back of my mind whether if he's going to do it again and again and again. That being said, I have a lot of confidence in him to do so because the Rams have a lot of confidence in him to do so, and they did very good last year while he was the star running back. He had some really great games last year where you're like, damn, this guy is so impressive. He needs to be in the top 4 running backs. He is in the top 4 running backs for sure, and he's an explosive playmaker. Like I said, that a guy like Zeke, can run the ball and also catch passes out of the backfield, which is something that is crucial in this game today. So Todd Gurley, obviously a big candidate. He was a runner-up last year, should be on your top 5 list. So number 5, I've got Todd Gurley. At number 4, I have Le'Veon Bell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is my favorite candidate in terms of running backs to win the NFL MVP this season. He's an absolutely explosive playmaker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3 Pittsburgh Steelers made this list, but he is the biggest contributor to their success. I know he's probably going to leave them after this season, but he puts up a contract year, and a team is going to be absolutely foaming at the mouth to get a guy like that. That's like DeMarco Murray when he left right after his big 2014 season, although I think Le'Veon Bell will have more success than him. Le'Veon Bell, great last season, of course, rushed for over 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. Also caught for over 600 yards as well. Got a couple of receiving touchdowns. The guy is very dynamic. He's a guy that Big Ben loves to throw to in situations where he absolutely has to. If he's being chased down, I'm going to go to Le'Veon Bell, but I'm pretty sure 99% of the time he's going to get the first down. And the best thing about him is that he's very patient. He's going to let the offensive linemen do their job, and he's going to go out there and get 12 yards on a rush that could have gotten 3. So Le'Veon Bell has all the great things, all the great talent in the world, all the great tools necessary to win this award. He's my favorite in terms of running backs to win, like I said. And there's a lot of qualities you got to like. And I know questions are surfacing of whether or not he's going to do so great because he's leaving this team. But I still think he's got a lot in the tank, and he's going to do very well this year. So at number 4, I've got Le'Veon Bell. Number 3, I've got Carson Wentz, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. I know it's the same thing like Deshaun Watson. They both tore the ACLs, and are they going to be back to 100% when they get on the football field? But I'm looking at it as how much talent and how much they put up last season, all the good stuff that they have in terms of their abilities. And Carson Wentz put up some really good numbers last year. He looked like he was going to be a favorite for the NFL MVP if he stayed healthy and continued to play as well as he did. He did tear his ACL against the Rams, but put up some really great numbers. 33 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. He was making the Eagles a contender, and they obviously won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, but he did a very good job of leading that team to the position that they were, putting up some really great numbers, like I said. And, he has a good team around him. He has a really, really good team around him, but I think with the wrong QB, this team could be in worse shape. And a guy like Carson Wentz needs to be the leader, the centerpiece of this organization, a guy that they're looking to for many, many years to lead them to the charge of winning more Super Bowls. And based on what we saw last season, and considering a lot of people had him like number 2 in that race last year, he's definitely a favorite to win this year. So give him the credit that he deserves. He put up a lot of good stuff last year. I expect more of it this year, and right now he's my number 3 QB in the game. So right now I got Carson Wentz at the number 3 spot to win MVP in 2018. At number 2, I've got Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Now, in the sense of what MVP is supposed to mean, I feel like Aaron Rodgers fits the description the best out of maybe anybody on this entire list. If I was to take him off this team, how would the Green Bay Packers do? I think they would be really, really bad. And I know they got a defense that's getting better, and they've got some pieces, but if they had like Brett Hundley as their QB, I don't think they would make the playoffs, or not even close to the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers fits the MVP description as accurately as anybody else in the entire league. He's a guy that's a certified leader, has done a lot of great things in the game of the NFL. He's a tremendous quarterback, puts up some really great stats, and I know he's coming off of injury, just like a couple of other people are coming off of injury from 2017, but he's still got incredible talent, knows where to throw the ball, has some great receivers. Devontae Adams I think he's going to take a huge step up, even though he is their number 1 receiver. I think he'll take a pretty big step up this year. And the other guys around him, I think, need to step it up. But even if it's not the case, Aaron Rodgers makes everybody look better. He makes the team look better because they don't have the greatest talent around him. They don't have the greatest supporting cast on the offensive side of the ball. But a guy like A-Rod is going to go out there and say, oh, okay, 4th and 12, I'll just throw the sidelines and we'll make the play. We'll make the play happen because I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm one of the best in the league, of course. So Aaron Rodgers is going to make that happen for your team, and that's why I have him number 2, because he fits that MVP description so easily. So number 2, Aaron Rodgers. And at number 1, who else could it have been but Tom Brady, the quarterback of the New England Patriots? I mean, 4,577 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He was the reigning MVP last year, so obviously he has the highest chance to win it again this year. The Patriots are still one of the best teams in the league. They've been the best team for the last 15 years. Tom Brady's been at the center of it. He puts up great stats every single season. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's capable of. And until he slows down, and we will see the retirement of Tom Brady, I still think he could put up big-time numbers and win MVPs. The guy doesn't seem to age, which is the craziest thing in the world, considering he's 40 years old. But he still puts up great stats. He still leads this organization that has been with him for 15 years. He knows what he's capable of. A lot of receiver targets are gone this year, so it's going to be on Tom Brady to make these new guys step up and really showcase themselves with the rest of the league. But the Patriots obviously have done this before, and they'll do it again. Tom Brady has consistently been the most consistent quarterback there is. So he'll put up some big numbers. I know he didn't win the Super Bowl, but in terms of a regular season MVP, Tom Brady's got to be your number 1 favorite. He's my number 1 favorite, and I feel like it should be a lot of other people's number 1 favorite because he won it last year, and he's still putting up great stats. So my number 1 pick for NFL MVP in 2018 is Tom Brady. That is going to do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button. Comment below. Did you agree with this list? Did you agree with the rankings? Are there some players that I didn't put on the list that you think should have been on the list? Comment all of that down below. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View. We're putting out more content before the season starts. Like I said, 2 weeks away today from the first NFL game. I'm very excited for that, but we still got a little bit more content before we get to that. And we are going to do some live streams for week 1. It's the Houston Texans versus New England Patriots game on that Sunday of week 1, and then the Monday Night Football game, the second one, with the Raiders and the Rams. We're going to do live streams for both, so hope you guys watch that. I will keep announcing those as we get closer to that date, but I'm just giving you a first announcement here. Like I said, subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more great NFL content. So, from Dylan, peace out.